So, really quick, I hate the small talk. I like to get straight to the point. Purpose of this video today is I'm going to be showing the impact that news releases has on the market, right? And how we can use this data to trade in our bias, right? How we can use this as added confluence to go in the direction that we need to go. So we have 8:30 news today, and then we have 10 a.m. news today. So me personally, I don't really, and I want to say this loosely because it is good to know. Me personally, I just don't like to crowd my head with too much information. I like to keep things fairly simple. So I see red folders. All I know is we got a lot of liquidity coming in. I don't really care too much what's going on in here. Um, so with that being said, at 8:30 we should see a pump, right? In which direction? Let's analyze and come up with a bias, right? So as you can see, I'm already in a trade from yesterday. I got in late because I wanted to free up some margin on Euro USD, and by the time I did that, price was already down here. Overall, and I'm going very light as well until May 1st. That's when I'm going back heavy. But overall, I see bearish momentum. So if I go on a monthly time frame, 1 second, on US 30, if I go on a monthly time frame, this is my bias for the month of April. So we took the high of last month, right? Once we take a high, we expect to retrace back into the range. With retracing back into the range for the month of April, we actually traded below the 50%, retested this fair value gap, hit an order block, broke down below some more, took some lows. Remember, if you take a low, take a high, expect some retracement. We took these equal lows, took this low here, came back, retraced, created a weekly fair value gap, right? So even though I'm overall bearish, I'm overall seeing sells, we're coming up on two things. It's Friday, it's the last day of the week, and also we're coming up on we're the last week of the month, right? So I'm not gonna go into detail on how I treat the weeks as days of the week. That's gonna be for another video, future reference. But 1 second, my phone keeps going out. I don't know. Let me change the settings. No auto lock. All right. 1 second, guys. Let me get my phone back up. All right. So now the phone is back. That's gonna stay there. Okay. So back to what I was saying. Overall, I'm in a sell. I'm seeing sells, but what happened yesterday? Price broke down. So for the whole week of this week, we've been trading above last week's range. We broke above it, created some equal highs, and then we broke lower back into the range of last week. We retested the 50%, which is this purple line right here. And then look at the type of reaction we got, as well as closing above this low, this previous low that was broken on a daily, right? So this low was taken previously. We traded below that, but now we came back and used that same low as support. So this is where we are right now, and here's my thought process of what's going on, right? So before I even come up with the daily bias, because overall for the month and going into next month, I'm bearish, right? I see price coming down and playing into these areas here. But before we do that, on the macro, we have objectives on a micro. So let's go down to the weekly on this one, and let's analyze what we got going on. So we tapped into another gap here, right? And this was the beginning of the week, this weekly fair value gap. And as you can see, once price, we opened, we traded above into that gap, and then we came back down. So Here's the thing though, there's another gap above that, right? Price didn't come all the way down to these lows. On some brokers, it may have reached there. Other brokers, it didn't. In this case, Owanda, it didn't. Let me see on my phone as well. So you can see my phone's broker. Okay, as you can see, these areas here, it didn't touch as well, but those are relatively equal lows. So what that means is, let me do it this way. Let me go back here. And what that means to me, there's liquidity sitting under here, right? On a macro scale. But we're here for a day trade, right? So let me go down to the daily. Now that I got that information, overall my bias is sells, right? On a weekly time frame, we just played into a gap. We retested the 50%, rejected it beautifully on the daily time frame, right? So where is price likely to go? So we're in the business of probabilities, right? We want to take, I don't want to say we want to take the guessing out, but we want to make strategic decisions and choices. So what I like to do is I like to work in ranges. So I'm going to mark up the previous day, the high, the low, and then we got the 50% at this line. And lo and behold, on the 4 hour, where are we trading within yesterday's range? We're trading above the 50% of yesterday's range. We're in a fair value gap here. We have an order block. I don't know if it's a breaker or order block. I don't really want to count these, but we have an area here that can keep price below and keep price trading lower, which I would like to see because overall I'm bearish, right? Now, here's something that we can use for a rule of thumb as well, another confluence, right? So US 30, the SPX 500, and NAS 100 tends to move similarly, not all the time at the same time, but majority of the time they move similar. So you can use this information for a bias on US 30 as well, meaning if NAS 100 is buying and SPX 500 is buying, then you can expect US 30 to be doing the same thing. Does that always happen? No, right? So that's why I don't really use it in my trading plan, but I keep it in the back of my mind like, hey, let me just see what these two are doing so I can get an idea of what US 30 might do. See, for me, SPX and NAS is setting up for buys. We have a beautiful gap. We traded in a monthly fair value gap, and I see price retracing back into this area here from 2 weeks ago, playing into this fair value gap here, right? And let me mark this because this is 4 hour. So I can see SPX shooting for that area, as well as NAS 100 did the same thing with the gap there. It looks pretty much the same, right? But when you get to US 30, we have a whole different scheme going on, right? So what I see for US 30, and I want to note everything that can act as support and resistance in a sense, right? So we have a gap here. Nothing was traded in between. We only had buying pressure. There was no sells offered on the opposite side. So I can expect price to play into this area. Personally, I want to see it disrespect this area and close below it, retest and come back down. So what I want to see is something like this. That's what I want to see, something like that, and then continue down to close off the week bearish, right? But here's a possibility of what can happen. We can trade into here, test the 50% of yesterday and this fair value gap, test here, rest above these highs again, and then come back up just to finish the week in a neutral sense, so to speak, right? So we have our, let me put this green so I can know this came from the 4 hour. So we have our range. I have my bias. I'm bearish, but I'm aware that we just retested lows. We retested 50% of last week, and we could stay above that. But me personally, I believe we're gonna trade back down into this range. But again, it's Friday. It's the last week of the month, so I can expect some retracements for the month, right? So if I go back to the monthly, we have 4 days left. So I can see price traded here in a monthly fair value gap. It came down. I can see price probably ending somewhere close to the low of last month or even back into the range of last month. So we could see US 30 do something like this. Retest there, come up, and then take these equal highs, playing into that gap, and then tanking down. Which, for the sell, this would be more ideal because we have this area here that hasn't been retested. We have a fair value gap coming from the monthly range, and then we're also trading back up, and we could potentially this week or next week. I'm not gonna put too much faith into today because yes, we have two red folders, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough to send price all the way up to this objective. Because if I go down to the 15-minute, you're gonna see there's a lot of areas that she would have to really break through strongly to get to this area up here, right? So I'm aware that we recently took a low, we came up, took these highs, we have equal highs here. And one thing that I learned from ICT is anything smooth in the market, like this is too smooth. The market doesn't like smooth, we like jagged, right? So we want to see price come up, take these highs. We want to see price come up and take these highs here, play into this area here, and then push down. Let's hop to the 15-minute. And what do we have on a 15-minute? So we have the 50% and then that fair value gap right here that we were speaking of. From 2 p.m. to 3 a.m., price has been trading fairly sideways. Not much information to go off of. We have a high here as well, low here. And we have this range, this new range that was created. So these ranges for me act as support and resistance. Let me just stretch that out in time. This is the central bank's dealers range. And now we have price trading below that range, which for me is good because, again, I'm bearish. So I want to see price continue to keep going down, right? So what I like to do is stick to my trading plan. And I only trade between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10:45. Usually on no news days, I go strictly off of market structure. So by between 7 and 9:30 at New York Stock Exchange open, if I'm seeing price respect this area, meaning there's no big break above, I'm not taking a buy, I'm taking a sell, right? Because this would be resistance for me. But we're coming up on news within the next, was 8:11, about 8:30 we should see on some liquidity. So I'm gonna sit on my hands. I'm gonna let my trade run in my broker, and I'm just gonna sit on my hands and wait, right? So patience is a virtue in this game. Most of the time, yes, it feels good to be right and guessing price and where it's going, but it feels even better to actually profit, right? So there's nothing wrong with sitting on your hands, wait till 8:30 come, seeing what direction she goes, and wherever she breaks out, we catch the retest and continue. Sometimes we do get the trade before it happens and we catch the whole bulk of the trade, which is beautiful. But if we catch 90% of the move, that's fine too. If we catch 70% of the move, that's fine as well. So we don't want to get too greedy and miss our chance because we want to get 100% of the move, right? Let price play out. see where she wants to go, see how she reacts to these areas, and then we get in, right? Because as you can see, it looked like she was selling, but now the candle flipped, and it looks like she's buying. So just because it looks a certain way, we want to give it some time to show her hand. Again, for me, we hit the 50% of last week, so objectives were already hit for me. So right now I'm sitting on my hands. I want to see if she plays below the 50% of yesterday and continue down, or will she respect the 50% like she's doing and push back up, right? So that's exactly what I'm waiting on right now, and I'm just gonna let it run. So I don't know if I'm gonna edit this video or not. I probably will, so I could cut in between and just skip to 8:30. But if I don't, I just want you guys to sit and see how price is playing out, how she reacts to these zones, and we'll pick up at 8:30. I wonder. I'm seeing something here. I want to see if price would trade up some more into this zone and then trade lower, leaving a gap from here to the high of whatever today might be, right? And trade lower. So that would be ideal if we can catch the high of the day and trade it all the way down to the low. That would be an ideal trade for a sell side. But again, I digress. I'm sitting on my hands and I'm just letting it play out. We got about 16 more minutes before the news release. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we get a big pump up here, somewhere into this zone, and then come down. But again, she can do whatever she wants. We sit on our hands and we wait. We let them show their hand, and then we follow the wave, right? Think of it when you're surfing. If you're new at surfing, even if you have some experience, you don't want to just jump in every wave you see. You want to give it some time, let the sea show his hand. Okay, it's calm today, let's jump in. So I treat it like that. If the market is moving either sideways or just too choppy, I sit it out for the day. We live to trade another day. We don't have to trade every single day. So I just want you guys to adopt the idea of it's okay if I missed a trade. It's okay if my analysis was right, but I didn't get in for whatever reason. It's okay, because as you can see, the market moves every day. Monday through Friday, there's opportunities all over the place, right? So Okay, price. We got about 10 more minutes. So after this candle here, the next candle, we should see some good movement in whichever direction. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather, so if I start, coughing or anything, just excuse me for a moment. I'm sorry. So I could see a little retail trap here. I could see them tricking people into thinking we got a ceiling, price is staying down, so I can actually see a big push up, a fake out, or something like that, and then come back down. But I digress. I'm waiting. What did I just delete? If it wasn't that, 1 second. Okay. So I like to watch the daily as well as the daily on a day trading aspect. I like to keep the daily open and I switch between the 4 hour and the 15 minute just to gauge the direction of the day. Excuse me. I honestly picked the wrong date to do this because, again, it's Friday. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's Friday, and it's the last, coming up on the last 4 days of the month. So, majority of the objectives for this month has been hit already. We're just really retracing and setting up for the next month, which will be very fruitful. I can't wait for a new monthly candle to play. I want to catch the high of the month and just ride it all the way down until the lows. And I could be wrong. Again, I'm taking 100% confidence in my sales for the overall monthly bias. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll readjust and I'll figure it out. But I strongly believe we're gonna sell, especially after retesting the low of last month. And you see the reaction we got off of that. We had 2 days of selling pressure after retesting the low of last month, right? So once we broke that low, here, retested, came back down, and we officially closed below and broke it here. Created some support, spiked down, tested these areas, and then we came back up to retest the low of last month. So it's beautiful to see. It's very interesting to see what price does and how she plays around these areas here. We've never touched the 50% of yesterday yet. We're trading above it. So this could also act as we could be seeing the low of the day form and then price could shoot up, or we could be seeing the high of the day form and price shoot down. Again, my overall bias is sells, but the price is going to do what she wants, right? So, and that's one thing I want to say as well. Don't try not to get too stuck on one side, because on an intraday level, yes, overall we're bearish, but that's the macro objective, right? The micro, there's objectives that on a smaller time frame has to be met before the larger time frame plays out. So we sit on our hands and we let the market show its hand. And what I mean by show its hand is moves like this, big moves like this, not these little candles and things like this. This is liquidity being built up, right? This is for all the impatient traders that can't wait until the right time to trade, the session start, right? So these are the people that's buying here and selling here, thinking, okay, I'm gonna get in early, and price is just moving sideways, you know. So we don't want to be these traders getting in here and here, because these guys are gonna get wiped out, right? We want to be the trader that sits, waits, take these guys out. So wherever their stop loss is, that's either my entry or my TP, my take profit, right? So look how price is playing. We've seen some interesting black candles. For me, the black goes down, blue goes up, right? So we've seen some black candles that could trick us, like, okay, price is going down. Let me enter in some sells now. And what is she doing? Playing back and forth, playing back and forth. How many times did we see this one candle flip back and forth, right? So it's psychology. They're playing with you. They want you to feel the fear of missing out and getting in before you're supposed to. But no, we got experience over here. We're waiting. Even though I'm already in on a trade from yesterday, right? My stop loss is, let me go on a 4 hour. Stop loss is up here, right? Again, I'm in very small on a mini because I missed my initial entry and I got in somewhere around here. So my stop loss is up here. My take profit TP is down here. And I'm waiting to see what price does. So let's see. 33 more minutes left in this 4 hour candle. Oh, beautiful, very beautiful. So let's see. Got 3 minutes left. And see how she's reacting. More wicks, more wicks, more wicks. Let me just pull back up. My phone. Okay. Yep, so we're in very small right here, down 81 cents. Not gonna make or break me. Again, we're in on a mini contract, so the leverage is way smaller. I'm not risking as much just to see this thing play out. Don't really care about the loss here. It's not gonna be much at all. That's totally fine. But for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to show you guys how we can use the news to aid in our trading. We got 2 minutes left. What you got for us? 8:30. So if I was aggressive, right, being aggressive, let's say we entered here, where would you put your stop loss? At the high of this range? Okay. What are you aiming for? I like to go for 1 to 3s. So let's say we was impatient and we got in before the time of 8:30. So I go for 1 to 3. So now I'm in drawdown, about 10 pips in drawdown, and we got a minute left. And this is us being impatient, right? So let's just say, hey, no, we're selling. I believe we're selling before the news. Okay, let's see. It can go in our favor because overall I'm selling, but it can also go against us because we didn't sit on our hands. But I just want to show you guys. From an aggressive standpoint. "40 seconds. This is the beauty of it. The adrenaline rush, just waiting to see what price does, is beautiful. Last 20 seconds coming up before the new candle, and it's 8:30. Okay. Did you see that? How quick that happened? Look at this. Look at how quick that happened. So being that we're aggressive, we just lost, right? We didn't sit on our hands. Boom. So now where's Price? Where is she headed? We touch that zone, right? Very nice. Okay. So she's showing her hand. What I want to see is this candle close strongly above this area, and then we get in on a retest of this area with our stops below this area here. And then where do we aim? I'm going to aim for the high of yesterday and let her continue to run. That's if she closes above there, right? If she doesn't, then we'll take it on the opposite side. But we're sitting on our hands and we wait. Again, it's okay if the trade goes. It's Friday. We had a full week of trading. I'm content. I'm satisfied with the move that was caught here. We caught moves on US 30. I mean on Euro USD. So there's no fear of missing out in my heart right now. I honestly just want to see how she ends the week. You know, Fridays are unpredictable days. Mondays are unpredictable days. So on these days, you kind of want to let price show its hand. Majority of the time, by Friday, price already hit its objective, and she could just either consolidate, go back into the range she came from, or continue with the same objectives from the week, right? But then that also plays into which Friday are we in? Are we in the first week, second week, third week, or fourth week of the month? That plays a part as well. And right now we're in the final stages of the month. I want to say this is the last Friday of the month, and then we got about 3 more trading days after that. So if she stays below this area, let me not say too much. I don't want to go too far past the scope of what I'm trying to show here by saying certain things and get you guys confused. Let's check on SPX. Buying as well. Buying as well. Seeing some weakness there. Yeah. So keep in mind, we're still in this fair value gap. So she could tank from this area, right? This could be the high of the day that was formed just now, right? And that would be, for a sell side, that would be ideal if the high of the day formed here, right? Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. Let's go back on the daily. Okay. So on a daily time frame, this is what I see. The opening of this candle, these openings and closings on the daily is very sensitive. Where did we touch? Didn't really touch it, but it came to that area and rejected it within that order block on the 4 hour that I noted out, right? So we're seeing some rejections. So we could be good for the sell side. Again, I digress. I sit on my hands and I wait. I wait. I'm not going to let the fear of missing out trap me and take my hard-earned money, right? Because you see how she's spiked up, came back down. So all the people that got in on the buys thinking, oh my God, she's going up. What did she do? Come back down. Then all the people that got in on the sells, what did she do? She's coming back up. So we want, these areas are very sensitive, right? We want price to show its hand. We want to see where she's going. So we want to wait to get a closure of this candle. It's fine. Like I said, if we don't get in at the wick or at the top of the tray, it's fine. It's okay. So let me show you guys my trading account. It's gonna take a little minute because it wasn't on the screen, so it's gonna take a little while to catch up to where she actually is. Okay, there she is. So you can see this is what was happening on 4 hour within the account, right? So my stop loss is up here, and this is where she at. And she traded above, and then she's gonna come back down. So this is lagging a little bit from the shared screen because it's live, but yeah. So overall, from yesterday, I'm still in the cells. If it hits my stop loss, cool, that's fine. If it doesn't, great. All right. So you get the idea. I'm gonna go back on the charts. This thing just takes. I hate this damn app. It takes too long. If I don't keep it open, then it's gonna lag and take too long to catch up to where we are right now. So I'm gonna come back on the charts and I'm just gonna watch. This is a beautiful rejection, beautiful rejection. So if we could stay below this area, I can definitely see price coming to take out these lows here. If we go back on a daily time frame, again, this could be the high of the day forming out. Didn't leave much space for a gap, so I'm not gonna really care too much about this space here. I want to see her trade back below the open and close, which is right here, right? So you see where all this liquidity was built up and then she burst from there, from the open, right? I want to see her come back down and trade below it. And to be honest, this is the best part. Just watching price show her hand. Then it becomes easy after that. Because again, if she closes, see how she's pumping back up? If she closes above here on a short-term bias, I'm buying, right? And I'll show you where I'm gonna aim to take profits. If we excuse me, if we go into next week bullish, I can definitely see her playing into this weekly fair value gap that was untouched, retesting last month's 50%, which we never retested. So I can definitely see the buys continuing up. I'm gonna end up hedging myself because I am in a sell, and I'm still gonna let the sell play out, win or lose. But if we switch objectives for today and we're actually in a buy model, then I'll show you guys where I would enter and how I would treat this area as support to buy up and continue. Very nice. So let me just take a peek at what SPX is doing. Okay. As well as, okay, so Nas is bearish. We also have 10 a.m. news. So we got about 5 more minutes. And I'm just gonna say, I remember when, excuse me, I'm sorry, 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm coming up on a little cold, so this thing is not agreeing with me right now. Okay. I like this. I like this rejection. We have about 3 more minutes, so let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place another sell. I like that rejection. I like that rejection from there. So what I did was I entered a sell right here on my broker. I'm gonna just put that. Just put that right here. I'm gonna put the stop loss at this area here. And again, this is an aggressive entry because I didn't wait until the candle closed. Me personally, I just, from experience, I like how it's rejecting here. I could be totally wrong right now because again, it's Friday. But I like that entry right there. I'm gonna aim for this 3-to-1, like my trading plan says. My stop loss is here at the high of that wick. If this is truly a manipulation wick and we respect these zones, then price should push down. Let's go to the 4-hour. My voice is cracking again, so I'm gonna shut up for a little bit. I like this rejection from this area that we marked up, so I want to see how she plays in this area. She left this area, so this area hasn't been touched yet. So this is kind of just looking out for this area because she could use this and act as a catalyst to keep going up. This looks very bullish, right? But again, my bias is sells, right? So I do believe we're gonna end off the week right back in this area somewhere around here. But I digress. So let me put that stop loss at that wick like I said, and then aiming for these lows down here. Alright. So we're in on the sell. Originally from yesterday I had my sell entry, but now I have another entry just above my sell right here. So we're a minute in. Beautiful wick rejection. Yes, it would have been beautiful to get in here, more aggressive off this order block, but again, I want to show you guys, just sit on your hand and let price show you what she wants to do versus taking the fear out of your heart pumping and seeing your trade and drawdown. And some people don't use the proper risk management. So let's say you got in thinking, oh, I'm gonna be right, it's buying or selling or whatever, and then she's playing around, and now your margin is up and down in your account. So coming up on the last minute now. See, again, this is aggressive. I've seen in the last minute, last 10 seconds, price just filled the wick that she just created. So again, this is very aggressive. I'm confident in this area here, this as well. So let's see, we got a minute, less than a minute, 40 seconds. And I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been on a little win streak, so I wouldn't mind taking a loss just to, I like to stay grounded, like to stay humble and not get too big-headed on these charts. So if I do take a loss today, that'll be perfectly fine. It's kind of, expected, but we're not in this game to lose. We're not here for losses. So I want to see another wick, another retest here, and then a push down. This could be a trap for buyers, so we could be seeing a lot of people think price is going to buy. So again, on a 4-hour, I like how she's playing out. We got a nice wick. We took a high from yesterday, and I just want to see if she plays down and see what she does. Let's see what she does, guys. So for me, this would be ideal to see the price come down here. And that'll be my trading day for today, my day trade. And just letting price continue. I'll hold it over the weekend and she'll continue if we're truly on the south side for right now. So this is a beautiful rejection. We got the flip. And let's see if she'll continue gradually going down. Come on, tricky. Let me see you play into this area and see what's going on. So we're 36 pips in profit right now. Very grateful. Very grateful. So we're gonna let this play out, man. We're just gonna let this run. Whatever happens, happens. And yeah, I'm going to update the chat as this trade goes on. I don't want to make this a very long video. And I will post the results. So that way it's going to keep you guys, how can I say, planted, so to speak. So you could come back and check the progress. Win or lose, I'm going to leave this how this is. I'm going to let this play out. We have news at 10 o'clock. We're in my trading window. Rejected this area beautifully. So I want to see price continue down, make her way down to these areas here. There's some areas of interest here that can keep price up. We've traded below them. Came back, retested. So overall yesterday, if you follow me on Instagram, when we broke down, I did say I want to see price close below this 50% of last week, retest, and then come back up. Yes, we got a close below, but it wasn't a big close below. We have a lot of areas that was untouched here. Price came back here today. We're retesting in this area. So I want to see if truly we're in a bear trend and this area keeps price down. That'll be very beautiful, and we can expect price to come back down to these areas today, especially using 10 a.m. as well as another catalyst to send price down. and that'll be beautifully. We're at 51 pips. So T, remember how you say your goal is 500 a day? At the right light size, that 51 pips would have gave you your 500. We're now at 62, so you would have been looking at 624 right here, right? But I digress, because remember, the same way you risk, whatever you risk, you can be on the opposite side as well. So that's where risk management comes into play. The next videos and everything like that would be proper risk, trading plans, and I want to do all of this before May 1st, because I actually want to get you guys trading on May 1st with me. I'm going to be going heavy on that trading account. I'm going to show you guys my risk strategy, risking 1 to 2% per trade, win or lose, doesn't matter. And then yeah, we'll go from there. So again, I'm going to let this play out, and I'll check back in with you guys with regular posts in the Discord. Thank you for trading with me, man.